Want to see some magic? Well, stay with us till the end of this video, because today we're going to talk about the movie Wonka and everything about it. You'll definitely have fun to the core, so let's begin. We see Wonka on a sea ship, arriving in a new city on that ship to start a new life. Excitedly, Wonka disembarks from the ship and enjoys wandering around the whole city. He reached the city market where there were different shops. There, Wonka notices a closed shop and feels like it's meant for him, imagining everyone dancing, singing, and having fun with him. However, Wonka was dancing alone there. All this was Wonka's imagination. The scene shifts. It's nighttime now. Wonka walks alone on the city streets. He sits on a public bench and falls asleep there. While on the same bench Wonka was sleeping, a guy named Bleacher came near Wonka. Bleacher tells Wonka that his home is nearby and he rents out rooms with his wife. Wonka picks up his belongings and goes along with Bleacher. Finally, Wonka and Bleacher reach Bleacher's home. There we see Scrubbit, Bleacher's wife. Before Wonka can get to the room, Wonka has to sign an agreement. This was the rule. Bleacher and his wife Scrubbit were going to sign an agreement with Wonka. Just then a small girl named Noodle, who was Scrubbit and Bleacher's daughter, signaled Wonka not to sign. Wonka didn't understand Noodle's signal, but Wonka became suspicious. He opened the agreement, which was very long. Forced by circumstances, Wonka signs the agreement and finally gets his room. After this, we see Scrubbit punishing Noodle because she signaled Wonka not to sign. Scrubbit locks Noodle in a room where it's very dark. The next morning, Wonka goes back to the same market and introduces himself to the people there. Wonka tells people, "My name is Willy Wonka, and I'm a magician. I make very good chocolate, and my chocolate has magic in it too." Wonka takes off his hat and pulls out a jar full of chocolates from inside his hat. He opens the jar, and all the chocolates inside the jar fly out into the air. Then Wonka makes a gesture, and all the chocolates that were flying around come back into the jar at the same time. People were very entertained by Wonka's work. Just then our villains, who are Pornis, Fickelgruber, and Slagworth, these people, have a chocolate factory. They supply chocolate all over the area, so they won't let Wonka's chocolate sell here. Then Slagworth tells Wonka that they want to taste his chocolate. These people tested Wonka's chocolate and realized it tasted amazing. But there, these three tell Wonka that his chocolate is rubbish, which is a lie. Slawbath flies to the air, and behind it were Pronos Fickelgruber. These people were also flying in the air. After that, Wonka opens the jar of his chocolates and all the chocolates fly around in the air. The people standing nearby consume the chocolates, causing them to float in the air excitedly. Willy Wonka informs everyone that the effects will only last for a short while. Everyone thoroughly enjoys Wonka's chocolates. Afterward, he returns to his room where Scrubbit demands rent. It becomes evident that Wonka has run out of money. Bleacher and Scrubbit assign tasks to those who cannot pay rent. Bleacher throws Wonka into a pipe and he ends up falling into a basement. In the basement, Wonka meets several individuals including Abacus Crunch, Piper Benz, Ludi Bell, and a comedian named Larry. There's a laundry shop in the basement where they work since they also couldn't pay rent. Wonka bonds with them and learns to wash clothes. He spends the entire day washing clothes with them, and at night they return to their respective rooms. In his room, Noodle arrives with food for everyone. Wonka takes his food and opens the bag, revealing a small setup where he makes chocolates. Wonka makes a chocolate and gives it to Noodle, who likes it. Wonka advises Bleacher for free on how to impress his wife. Then, using his mind and magic, Wonka sets up a complete scene where Bleacher's dog chases after food, causing everything else to happen automatically. Clothes washing and pressing themselves. Bleacher remains unaware due to his focus on pleasing his wife per Wonka's advice. Next, a small lift continuously moves clothes in and out, allowing Wonka to sneak out hidden in the laundry. Later, Noodle and Wonka reach a zoo where Noodle sings in front of a female giraffe, amusing her. Wonka takes the opportunity to extract milk from the giraffe for making chocolates. Noodle reveals to Wonka that Bleacher and Slub are not his real mom and dad. He found them somewhere. The next morning, Wonka, Abacus, Piper, Ludi, Larry, and Noodle pose as spies, selling chocolates discreetly in various locations. Whenever the police approach, Wonka escapes through a gutter. Wonka and his team earn a lot of money this way. The scene shifts to nightfall with Wonka sleeping in his room, where suddenly a figure appears through the window, and it's the chocolate thief. Then his foot hits something and the chocolate thief pulls out from a pipe, falling into a large jar. After that, Wonka gets up from his bed and sees the chocolate thief inside the jar, who is a short guy with red skin and green hair. The guy tells Wonka his name is Oompa Loompa. Wonka and Oompa Loompa talk, and we also see a small background story of Oompa Loompa, where Wonka had collected magical fruits in a temple long ago. On the first day itself, Wonka and his team sell a lot of chocolates, but a problem arises when everyone experiences a side effect from the chocolate. Their hair starts growing rapidly and becomes colorful. Behind this is Slugworth, who had mixed something in Wonka's chocolates to make people angry. They start breaking things in Wonka's shop, breaking his heart. Wonka starts crying, followed by a flashback scene where we see Wonka's mom used to make very tasty chocolates and taught him how to make them. So in childhood, Wonka promises Mom he would become the best chocolate maker and people would love his chocolates. Then pros Fickle, Grubber, and Slugworth make an entry, offering Wonka money. These three tell Wonka to make chocolate for them. Then Wonka rejects their offer and they tell him to leave the city. Later, we see a sad Wonka picking up his bag and reaching the port where Slugworth had a ready sea ship. Wonka boards a ship and thinks. Just then, the Oompa Loompa comes to Wonka. We see Oompa Loompa was also going, and as they talk, Wonka realizes Slugworth might have mixed something in the chocolate. He goes to Captain but finds no one, just a bomb that blasts the whole ship into the sea. Then the scene shifts directly to Wonka's team, who had done chocolate business with Wonka and Noodle. They had good money now, so they paid Scrub and her husband Bleach for their rent. Then Abacus, Piper, Ludi, Larry, and the others were free. Next, we see Screwbit and Bleach trap both Noodle and Wonka in that dark room again. Then Wonka and his team arrive and free Noodle from that room. Then Wonka and his team steal a female giraffe from the zoo and leave her in a church under which there was a chocolate factory. The giraffe starts running around in the church. Julius Pater calls the emergency team and Larry picks up the phone, part of Wonka's team. Then Abacus and Larry come there as an imaginary emergency team to catch the giraffe hidden in their truck. Wonka and Noodle arrive at the basement factory where they find a book containing all the evidence of the bad deeds done by Pronos, Fickle, Gruber, and Slugworth. Pronos, Fickle, Gruber, and Slugworth enter and confront Wonka and Noodle. Slugworth tells Noodle she is his daughter, revealing he had an affair with a woman who had her. He used to bring this girl to me every day thinking she was my daughter. One day he got tired and kidnapped a little girl and left her in front of someone else's house. That's when Noodle realized it wasn't her dad. It was Slugworth, who was a jerk. Then Slugworth and his two punters point at Wonka and Noodle, taking them to the room where the chocolate mix was made. These three lock Wonka and Noodle in that room and leave the chocolate on top. The room was getting full of chocolate. In this way, Wonka and Noodle were drowning in chocolate. Pronos, Fickle, Gruber, and Slugworth leave laughing from there, and Wonka and Noodle finally drown completely in the chocolate. Then an entry is made by Oompa Loompa, Wonka's friend, who stomps the pressure of the chocolate. Finally, Wonka and Noodle breathe. Then Wonka and Noodle come out of the church where Pronos, Fickle, Gruber, and Slugworth were standing with the chief of police. Wonka gives the book with all the evidence to Officer Etta Bell. After this, Officer Etta Bell arrests Pronos, Fickle, Gruber, and Slugworth. Then the water flow starts coming out, of which the chocolate of the factory starts coming. Everyone enjoys drinking that chocolate, and finally Wonka's dream comes true. After this, Wonka meets Noodle's mom. Noodle finally sees her mom. Oompa Loompa meets Wonka, who takes out a jar full of chocolates from his head and hands it to Oompa Loompa. Oompa Loompa and Wonka go to visit a new place where Wonka will open a new chocolate shop. So which part of this movie did you enjoy the most? Let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and like our video, and also share it with all your friends and family and fellow chocolate fans in your inner circle. We also kindly ask for you to please subscribe to our channel and allow for notifications by pressing that bell icon. You'll always be updated when we have a new upload for you. Thanks for watching.